Hey everyone, it's Thomas Otten again, and I'm going to be doing a second part of the video on the IMS install on the 2000 Porsche Boxster S. This is a car with about 130,000 miles on it. This is the direct oil feed kit for the IMS. So this provides the flow of oil. And then also in the kit came with two IMS bearings, a single row and a double row. And the reason I went with that is because I was not exactly sure which one is in this car, so I'll return the one that I don't need. And then also a set of new flywheel bolts. So from the looks of it, we have the shallow dish cover plate, which is indicative of the double row IMS bearing. So this IMS kit, being an oil-fed IMS bearing, it requires a notch to be put into the engine case, and that is because the flange itself has an oil feed to it, and really the only way to make room for that is to cut a little notch in the case. Now for this operation, I'm going to be using the Dremel drill with the removable blades. And the idea is I'm going to come in here. I've raised the motor up higher than this. And I'm going to come in here, cut this one like so, and cut this one like so, trying to keep away from this thing here. May need to jack the motor up just a little more. So right in the middle of this operation, my Dremel tool, which I've had forever, died. It just seems to not work at all anymore. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. Probably replace it or whatnot. So I sent my son to pick up a new Dremel tool, and in the meantime I rummaged through the toolbox and found another tool that I thought I might try to use. So now I'm going to use this tool. This is unfortunately a Harbor Freight tool that somehow winded up in my toolbox. I have stopped buying tools from them, but this one is a remainder, so we're going to see how it goes.
Angels and ministers of grace defend us.
Hamlet, Act 1, Scene 4.
And so sure enough, this pneumatic Harbor Freight tool, which was in my toolbox for quite some time, but only was very, very rarely used, maybe a couple times. First time using it, it just wouldn't work, and air's blowing past the seals, which I find happens a lot with tools from them, particularly anything pneumatic. But in general, I just don't favor the company. So what I ended up using was on a new Dremel tool is a tungsten carbide bit. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using the Dremel with the carbide bit to basically cut this way into it. So this photo shows basically the extent that the case had to be basically cut into And then once you cut it on both sides, it's basically easy, very easy to just knock the piece off. And so it looks like this. I did end up having to clean it up a little more than this, but essentially this is what is required. So once all the cutting work was done and there was no risk of getting any metal into the engine, then it was okay to pull off the flange. There's no wiggle to it. Seems in very good shape. And here we have the IMS bearing fully removed.
Okay, so we have the dual row IMS bearing extracted. Cannot feel really any play in this. This was a very good bearing still. Car had over 130,000 miles, so this is not sure exactly what it says, but it does say that you know, there is something to be said about the dual row bearings and their lower failure rate, and this one was definitely on nowhere near failing. So here's the new bearing, which is the dual row one from this kit. Here's the single row one, but we see that the dual row is also smaller. So therefore what that means is that more than likely this flange is can only go hand in hand with this aftermarket bearing. It does not really work with a standard stock bearing. Okay, so now we have our IMS bearing installed. With the open side facing out to receive the oil lubrication.
And so here we have our flange installed.
Okay, so this is the final install of the direct oil feed IMS kit. As you can see that we've got an oil feed line that goes to the top of the motor and brings our oil feed here. We've got a new rear main seal installed, and so we at this point are ready to reinstall transmission and put everything back together.
So we also installed a new flywheel, as the flywheel was in pretty poor shape also.
Okay, so there we have our replacement catalytic converters, newly outfitted with new oxygen sensors, and we have new gaskets we're going to be installing as well. So we're ready to put this back on. And so here's another thing we did to the Boxster. We pulled out the main motor mount. You can see it's really giving us a lot of trouble, making a lot of noise when shifting in low gears. Okay, so we've got our new mount installed now, so it's gonna work a lot better. Okay.
And here's my son Luke under the car, helping me get it all buttoned up and put back together. haven't driven my 986 in over a year, and I had forgotten what a fun car it is. It truly is a beautiful car. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If so, please like and subscribe. Until next time, tschüss.